I feel like Jimi Hendrix in this shirt. 1969, Summer of Love. Where were you? Little tie dye. And speaking about rock stars and musicians, if you're on LinkedIn, you're a business guy, you're trying to connect with people, make connections, maybe get a new job, get a higher salary. There's one lingo that I've noticed recently that people keep saying and they post like, "Oh, if you're a rock star in social media, if you're a rock star in working behind a cubicle," and I'm like, "Yo, stop with the catchy phrases. Like you're making $40,000 a year, making a modest salary, working some job nobody wants to do. Like nobody wants to be your little rock star. Stop with the nonsense." Um, those marketing things, guys, they just like get to me. Another one, this is another phrase I keep hearing recently is it's just getting started, or we're just this is nothing yet, or we're is it was it we're just getting started. No, it's another one. It's like we're this is just the beginning. That's it. This is just the beginning. Like I'm supposed to wait for some grand ovation of yours and your business projects. Like could you stop? Let's be real. Just be humble, keep it moving. That's it. It's just so ridiculous how people phrase certain things when it comes to business. I'm like, this is not life or death, guys. Like 9 to 5, that's it. This just stops. The rest is for fun and seeing your family. Speaking of family, today was really cool. I actually went strawberry picking down in central Jersey, which, if you know anything about New Jersey, it's not the most natural state. There's a lot of refineries, a lot of warehouses and things like that in certain areas. But we went out to like where there's farmland, which was really cool. But besides my strawberry picking and my acai bowl I'll be making tomorrow morning, on a more serious note, we've got Fiorentina Roma coming up. The boys just got to Florence earlier today. I saw them hopping on board the plane, which I thought was weird because it's only like a 1 hour train ride into Florence. But anyway, yeah, they're there. We're going to be going over Mendilibar's tactics, the Sevilla manager. This is going to be a big episode. This is the tactical analysis of this manager that we have here, of the Spanish style, which you're going to see is a little bit different from what we've seen compared to teams like Feyenoord. Their 4-2-3-1 is a bit more. I would say I haven't come up against this. I haven't come across this tactic just yet. And what Sion said, yeah, unlimited potential. Like this crazy business lingo. And thanks guys for giving me a minute where I came on air. So this manager, 4-2-3-1, yes, likes to play in a somewhat traditional style with his forwards pushing and pulling, getting his players to drop back, and then running on different types of angles to open up space, exploit areas between the center backs and the outside defenders. And we're going to look at all of that. But okay, let's look at the lineup for tomorrow. I'm going to pull this up. In the meantime, Fiorentina they've been in some weird form. They've gone, I think, their last 7, they've only won 2 matches. So they had a run where they got 5 under Vincenzo Italiano. Italiano was very good last season, but right now they're tied on points with Bologna and Torino, who they drew against last week. And I was surprised to see that, but also not too, not too, I want to use a different word than surprised, not too taken back, because at the same time, Fiorentina they were actually in 3 tournaments. They just played the Coppa Italia final where they lost to Inter, but they got the first goal thanks to Gonzalez, who's a really good winger, in my opinion. And they almost got the goal at the end in the last 70th to the end of the game. They really pressed Inter Milan very much so in terms of creating goal-scoring opportunities, firing from long range. Bonaventura has been having a real renaissance to his career in Florence. And he always wants the ball, always wants to get on it. The one thing that's let Bonaventura down is just sometimes his quality. Like if he had a couple more big goals, if that ball goes into the back of the net, his long range hit about 22 yards out, then okay. And you start to say, okay, maybe this guy has been quality this whole time. But it's the one thing I think that statistically Bonaventura hasn't been able to prove. But this is a team, I think that they have a big turnover. They're going to be tired. They're coming up against a Roma, which is equally as tired, if not more. And they've also got the Conference League final against West Ham, but that's not until next week. So we've still got over eight or 9 days, or even a little bit more. What is it? It's 9 days to the final now, right? Today's Friday, 9 days. No, my math. 5 days to the final. 5 days to the final. Here we are. And that means that Fiorentina has 12 days to their final. So they don't have the same type of, they don't have to keep their players as reserved as Roma do right now. But anyway, let's take a look at Roma's lineup first. It's probably going to be Rui Patricio. I would think maybe perhaps even Svilar. I'm going to throw this up as a banner right now too. Here we go real quick. Let's get that so you can watch that with me. Mancini, Smalling, Ibanez. That'll be the back three. That will take the match against Sevilla. Then Misori will go at right wing back, the Primavera product with Bove, Cristante, Zalewski. Cristante, to me, is the one question mark here. I think this could even be Kamara. Up ahead, Wijnaldum, Solbach, and Belotti. Solbach ineligible to play in Europe as part of the financial fair play penalties. And then Belotti, who will be the second string forward. So compare this to the team that you're expecting to go out and play against Sevilla. What changes here? Probably, well, definitely, Misori comes out, maybe for Selik, maybe for Zalewski on the left. Well, I guess a little flip-flop here. Zalewski he's either going to be starting or he's going to be the right wing back. I don't think it's going to be like what you see here with him as the left wing back. With that being said, on the other side, instead of Misori, you'll see Spinazzola. Does Wijnaldum get the start? Pellegrini will be there. Tammy, and maybe Dybala. Maybe. Big maybe, right? Can we really see Dybala not get in this match? I don't know if he's going to start, but he's definitely getting into this one. No matter what Jose says right now, you know that Paulo is going to want to get his fill and step in on the pitch, no matter if it's his last leg to stand on. But what other variations could we see? Could we see the twin center forward setup by Jose with Belotti and Abraham? Not so sure about that. I do think it becomes Pellegrini, maybe El Shaarawy, maybe, El Shaarawy on the left, Pellegrini playing more of a roving right type of trequartista, right wing trequartista position with Abraham up top. That I could see as a start there. And as time goes on, El Shaarawy comes out, Pellegrini slots over to the left, and then Dybala comes in. But what about Fiorentina's lineup? A little bit different here. They can go with a bigger rotation than Roma can at the moment without guys like Castrovilli starting, without Bonaventura. So it's Terracciano in net, Dodò, Milinkovic, who's been a pretty good center back. I expect him probably to leave Fiorentina this summer. Igor and Terzic. In midfield, Duncan, Mandagora. So we've got the 4-2-3-1, by the way. A little bit different, definitely different than what we're going to be seeing against Sevilla. Kouame, Barak, Saponara, and Jovic. Actually forgot Saponara was on this team. I think because Bonaventura, I don't know, whatever. Saponara was so good like 10 years ago when he first emerged on the scene. So good, or at least he had a lot of potential. But Barak, to me, is probably the most talented player in this lineup. Wears the low socks. You know what it means when somebody wearing an 8 or 10 wears low socks. You know what type of style that they're going to have. You know they're going to be a little bit flashy, but have that kind of like, not just flashy, but like that pizzazz about them. Like that real ball-playing, baller type of characteristic to them. Jovic, who I still rate as a center forward. He's sure to be in there. And Fiorentina's they're going to be tough. Some stats for you here. So just to reiterate what I was saying before, I'm going to get it for you word for word about Fiorentina right now. There's a good one I'm looking for. They had that 1-1 draw with Torino last weekend, and then unbeaten in their last 7 home matches in the league, last going longer without defeat at the Stadio Franchi back in 2017. So this is their second longest run without being unbeaten at home. So I guess the Fiorentina fans really show up. I know that Curva Fiesole is sometimes pretty fierce, comparative to Roma. No, but for a team in Serie A, they got great support there. And I like sometimes they put up great tifi. The one you saw in the Coppa Italia, which was an ode to Medusa's head being slayed. I wish I had that graphic for you. I didn't think about that. And where the person who kills us, is it Perseus? Perseus maybe holds up the Medusa's head, and they made a tifo about that, which I thought was super cool. All right, Roma's form though is second only to as bad as Sampdoria in the past. What was it? Let me see real quick how many matches. I think since in the last 6 league games. Only Sampdoria have picked up fewer points than Roma's tally of 4 during that period. So 6 league games, we only got 4 points. It's not great. They've lost 3 of their last 6 away fixtures in Serie A, as many defeats in their previous 14 matches. So the fatigue has truly set in. Also, Matic, by the way, I think we were just mentioning who's probably going to be starting in midfield there. Bove will not start the final. That's going to be Matic for sure with Cristante. So up ahead, I still think that it could be El Shaarawy to get the start. The one question mark, will it be Selik or Zalewski? That's the other mystery here. And I don't think Dybala gets to start, even though he gets in there. Okay. Any other questions about Fiorentina? Write them on in, and we'll keep going over them. Okay, they're going to lose to West Ham. I think so, too. I would like to see Fiorentina win. I just don't think that they have what it takes to beat West Ham, who's a strong team, and Scamacca, who's going to be coming back to Italy next year. It hasn't gone down too well for him. We've seen him on the bench quite a few times. Looks like his defensive setup looks pretty bad. Why do you think about that? Maybe, Pavi, are you talking about Sevilla or Vincenzo Italiano right now? But we are going to start. I'm going to pull this up. The Breaking the Lines article. Somebody sent this to me in a YouTube article. In a YouTube comment. And I thought it was, one, thank you very much. That was a great share. I really appreciate that. But let's walk through this tactical analysis. I'm going to take Breaking the Lines. I'm going to take their word for it here. So I haven't seen Sevilla play yet, aside from highlights this year. And so there's a lot of to be unexpected, I think, from my end. You know, maybe you're more fluent with how Sevilla play, but they go from being this team which has such a storied past in the Europa League, being kind of like the flag holders, the flag bearers of this tournament. And then they get knocked out of the Champions League again. They drop back down. We've seen this time and time again. We've seen this story play out. And then Sevilla get to the final. They lost last year to Frankfurt, and that was the team that Kostic was on. That was a powerful German side. But let's look now at this Sevilla. So take a look at the 4-2-3-1 here. And Nasiri, I like him at center forward. I think he does a good job. He's athletic. Gil is the player who that they like to pass to a lot from out of the back. Rakitic, you remember from his several really strong years at Barcelona. Ocampos, a good wing forward there. This guy he's got legs on him. I think at one point in time he was owned by Milan, if I'm not incorrect. Ocampos, yeah, I think he's probably the most dangerous player. Also, speaking of danger, who has been one of the best Italian players or players in Serie A over the last decade, Papu Gomez, who still plays for Sevilla. He scored recently, I think over the weekend or midweek. Gueye, I think is how you pronounce his name, and Jordan, the two holding double pivots there. And Acuna, Gudeli, and Bade, who's on loan, I believe from Rennes, and Navas. So the exception here, I should say Dimitrovic as well, Serbian goalkeeper. Acuna will not be playing this match because of his red card, and that's a big loss. This kid just won World Cup gold with Argentina, and this is another final for him. He knows what it takes to win, and suddenly they're without him, one of their strongest players. What could that mean? I think it can mean a lot as we go on, and we'll see with this setup that we've got going on here. So I'm going to read not every, as you can see, there's a lot of text here. I'm not going to go everything word for word, but this paragraph, this opening paragraph here, I'm going to read it. Might be a little small on your end. In his first game in charge, Mendilibar went with his trademark 4-2-3 formation, 3-1 formation with Marseille Loni, Pape Gueye pairing Jordan in central midfield. Sevilla prevailed 2-0 at Cadiz via goals from Ocampos and N. Nasiri, getting their first away win since October 15th before going ahead 2-0, only to concede 2 late goals and draw 2-2 at home against Celta de Vigo. They would bounce back in April, beating Valencia, Villarreal, and Athletic Club Bilbao, and eliminating Manchester United from the UEFA Europa League before kicking off May with a 2-0 loss to Girona. A comeback 3-2 win against Espanyol, and a 3-0 win at Real Valladolid, as well as a 1-1 draw to Juve in the first leg of the Europa League semifinals. So what you can see here is not the all-powerful Sevilla of the past where they steamroll their opponents, right? We look at a couple of these names here. A 2-0 loss to Girona. I've never even heard of this team. I'm not trying to sound ignorant, but have you? Do you? I mean, maybe you watch La Liga a bit more than I do. I really don't. And for me, I'm like, okay, so they're losing against teams who are not that strong, not La Liga heavyweights here, but they do pick up a good comeback 3-2 win against Espanyol, decent team there, and they knocked out Manchester United. They knocked out Juventus. So they're a bit lopsided. Maybe that also comes from Roma's similar problems with the fatigue setting in. Perhaps. Okay, opening match against Mendilibar, Sevilla sought to go direct in their goal kicks by having Dimitrovic boot long balls up the pitch, ditching the careful build-up system that had been used under Sampaoli and capitalizing on En-Nesyri's height to win aerial duels and lay it off to a teammate or win the second ball and force a turnover with their attacking midfielders constantly looking to pounce and win the ball back. So, look at the position of the keeper there. He's looking to bypass the midfield, bypass the defenders, his own defenders, and get it up to one of his wing guys, probably right here, who is, let me look real quick, that's Gil. That's the main guy that they like to lay off to. And there are two tall players up here with the striker as well. In possession, let's take a look at this grid here. Look at Acuña's movement on the left. We could see 4 across the back in this type of arc. And then we've got our double pivots right there. And ahead of him, we could see that actually what's gone on here is that the wing forwards have gone up pretty high. So as opposed to what you might imagine on paper with the wing forwards, which should be like 15 yards ahead of Acuña there at the bottom of your screen, instead what they do is they take the wing back or the outside back for a ride. In turn, what that does is that should open up this channel here for Rakitic, because with this team, I'm going to assume it's Cadiz, they're defending pretty badly, because once this wing back leaves and follows his mark, really he should have allowed that to go to his right center back there at the most left of your screen. Instead, now what happens is Rakitic is free. Rakitic can play into the striker or switch out to Ocampos on the top of your screen here and then completely manipulate that side of the pitch. Nothing crazy about the double pivot there, but Sevilla will then try to take a little bit of a higher back line and recycle possession if they don't take it. By the way, Lamela just won it against Juventus in 117th minute. Eric Lamela, a player we know very well, a player I miss. If you've been with Roma, a fan for a long time, you know that Eric Lamela is a true talent. And I'm glad in a way to see him get his career on track. And he looks like he's doing very good there. Yes, welcome, guys. And it's nice to see everybody coming on in. We've got over 10 people. This is impromptu. I know it's Friday night. You've got a lot of better things to do than watch my tactical analyses. But thank you so much for being here. So I really respect that. And that just means that you love ball as much as I do, because I love talking about this game, guys. Okay, swinging across the back. Then we see Lamela pinch. Now, in this example here, the trigger is Suso, as you can see. Says the trigger is Suso as he makes that run for Navas. What Navas is going to do is he's going to carry that ball forward. Why is he allowed to do that? Because the opposing center midfielder or left midfielder here, whatever that might be in that setup, he's not following Navas, but he's actually following the defensive midfielder. Navas takes that space either through a long ball to Suso, who's making that run to stretch out the wing back, or he's going to take that space himself on the dribble. Let's look at the outlets here. You've got Gil. You've got Ocampos. Where is Ocampos here in this setup? I don't believe that he's actually in this setup here. But if you would be taking out Suso in favor of Ocampos. So it's one or the other there. The difference between that, before I forget to mention this, Suso is going to look to cut in. Ocampos is going to look to cross the ball or get on the shoulder of the left center back or left wing back, by the way there. Okay. Here we go. Another example. Navas, instead of taking his space, plays Ocampos, who has stretched out his wing back. And now what you've got, which makes it difficult for the defender, is he's one-on-one. Ocampos is a big boy. He's going to use his strength to push off the defender, who has now been isolated and therefore dangerous. Gudeli, same exact type of tactic here. Long ball, bypasses the center midfield. What this means for Roma who like to play with, of course, a packed midfield with a low block, is if Gil or Ocampos or Suso have isolated the wing back or the center back, then that could be a problem because Roma's biggest strength is against a team like Leverkusen, who look to pack in the midfield and then take shots and little combos, little 1-2s, triangles, and little shapes to try and break down the opponent. But Roma's really difficult to do that because they almost collapse with like what you saw last week, 8 at times. They played an 8-2 formation in defense. It's nuts. So this is where it could get tricky. That long ball, not through the center, but actually through the wings. Is Zalewski going to be on his toes? Is he going to be honest? Is Salik? Is Spinazzola going to get caught out? These are questions which only we will know on the end of Wednesday night. Okay. Here it says, one of Sevilla's key principles is baiting the opponent to press before exploiting the space in behind with an incisive long pass. Once again, just to make note of where the center back is, Gudeli, he's holding on that possession. As he does more so, attacking teams are going to move up. The center midfielders here, that double pivot, as you can see, smacking the center of your screen, they're going to start to move up. Roma's center mids do not do that. They don't really play like that. They haven't in the past like 3 to 4 months. Cristante and Matic shouldn't fall for that. I don't think they will. Here's the same type of idea, except with Acuna playing the long ball. Except Acuna's not playing the match, so we can forget about that right now. Plan B. What happens if Roma, Matic, and Cristante don't press up? What are they going to do? What can Sevilla do now? Okay, a long pass from 23-year-old Bade, who arrived on loan from Rennes after an unsuccessful spell at Nottingham Forest. Here, Bade plays a long ball to Gil, who plays it off to N. Nasiri, who arrived late in the box with a curved run. Rather than recycling possession and enticing the opponent to press, Sevilla opt to play direct and penetrate the defense, with the Moroccan forward getting in behind and timing his runs to perfection. This run, I don't like. This one makes me a little bit more nervous because if you look at where he is, N. Nasiri likes to split. He likes to occupy that area in between both those center backs. So it doesn't really matter how many. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. Roma's line is going to be very important. If they do take a little bit of space up, this striker can make them pay. Why? Because look at how he's splitting them in two. You've got an overload on the right side. I'm imagining if they're going to try to overload with the right wing back taking more space, and if Sousa drags the left wing back out, and then what the striker can do is he can split that center back pair with a diagonal run off the shoulder of the left center back. That I don't like. It makes me a little nervous. It says Sevilla opt to play direct and penetrate to the defense, with the Moroccan forward getting in behind. In behind. That's the key here. Don't let anybody in behind. Have you heard me, Mancini? Ibanez, nobody in behind. Can't afford it. Not in the final. The aim is to find the outlet in space, or at least in favorable qualitative superiority circumstances. 2v1, 1v1. So to get them not the way that Roma play, essentially. They're trying to get Mourinho to play non-Mourinho style. Will it work? Keep your fingers crossed. In order to keep their opponent guessing, Sevilla would have their wingers come close to their own fullbacks, enticing the opposing fullbacks to follow them. Okay, so once again, so if the wingback comes a little bit deeper, he's trying to stretch out the opponent. I don't think that's going to work. Roma don't play that way. They don't follow. They don't play man-to-man. They play zone. So I think this tactic works very much in Spain. I don't know how they were able to beat Juventus. I don't know, guys. But I want to just reflect on that game for a second. Juventus had a lot of opportunities, and that match probably deserved is a strong word, but I think with the flow of the match, bookmakers would have expected Juventus to win that one. Creating chances. We spoke a little bit before about Navas and Ocampos and Suso. Navas is going to look to swing that in. Ocampos is going to look to swing that in, but Suso is going to look to do something creative and make a key pass or something. He's going to try to cut in, put it in on net. Also, that goal that Suso scored, I forgot he was even still alive after he played for Milan. He's actually only 29. I thought he was like 34. And he's still doing his thing. And that was a crack of a goal. Like, what a nutso goal, golazzo versus Juventus. Okay, a little bit more. You've got your center midfielder here, Jordan, who's going to try to take in that space that's left behind. If he can get in that area there. that would be something like we've seen Cristante. I would say not so much in 2023, but in 2022, he got caught out sometimes in zone possession. So that gap here is not one that Roma often leave open, but just something to keep an eye on. Going forward, yeah, Lamela still, Torres, the striker there, playing more advanced. Okay, now what if they had left-footed wingers or attacking mids on the right flank? That's what we're talking about. In that case, the creation method completely differs. Then they're looking to cut in, and that's when their direct approach disappears, and they become more settled in possession. This will have shades of true Spanish possession-based game, right? Looking to make combos. You could see, what do we got here? We have a perfect square or diamond formation with Lamela, Navas, Guay, Suso, guys who are phenomenal on the ball. These are some of the best ball handlers that you're going to find. Don't quote me on that. No pun intended. And they're going to look to make Roma pay with either drawing a foul or passing and moving. The game's simple. Sometimes it is just who's a little bit faster and who can play the simple pass more efficiently. Okay, overloads. Yeah, here we see Sevilla really doing a good job at getting that right wing back forward and right winger in Suso. He attracts all the attention. What that happens then is En-Nesyri is then isolating the right center back as he comes and drags across. I don't really know what type of lane he has here, but it's definitely one that helps Sevilla advance the ball and just get it further up the pitch. You know, once you get the ball in the penalty area, that's when good things happen if you're an attacker, just by principle. You get it there, it could be penalty, be a foul on the edge of the box, whatever it might be, a deflection. So being there is better than not. That's for sure. Here we got Suso playing a cutting ball through diagonal off of Gil, who's cutting in between behind his last defender there. Okay, this is against Valencia, by the way. I don't know if I rate these teams. We'll see. I'm not getting arrogant. I'm just thinking that this team might perfectly go into the way that Mourinho wants them to. They might play exactly as we're discussing right now. And if they do, Mourinho knows exactly what to do. Think about that Champions League that he won against that. I mean, one of the best teams I've ever seen. That Barcelona, guys, was crazy in 2009-10, right? And that was against Messi, and Ibrahimovic was on that team too, if I'm not incorrect. Yeah. And so many stars, yet Mourinho found a way with that Inter Milan. Diego Milito, man. Wesley Sneijder. What a good team that was. Okay. I'm not going to bore you here. Dynamic fluctuating width. We'll go over it very quickly. Sevilla applying this concept in the middle and final third. Jordan steps out of his position from the double pivot to act as an auxiliary fullback. This one I thought was pretty interesting because what he allows here, look on the bottom right of your screen, you've got Navas taking up a lot of space here. And Jordan, what he did is he dropped back and now he incorporates himself as a center back, a right center back here, ball carrying. And then Navas now has so much space to run in. And this overload could definitely be dangerous. Navas, once he does get the ball, by the way, look at what he's got here. Ocampos is free. That's not a guy you want to leave free. And Nasiri is going to either play off of him, off of a chest pass or a flick on, and then he's right in on net. You don't want that to happen. Okay. Manipulating the opposition block. Look at the space that Gil takes here in between two players. Once he does that, that right center back, actually that's a right back. That right back just checks on Gil. And what happens? Then you've got Acuna free. You don't want that. Don't want that to happen. Why is that right winger, though? Why is he so high up? Why isn't, where's the center mid on this play? That's what I'm wondering. You know why? Because they're playing man to man. And instead of their center forward dropping back, Cadiz here, what happened was that they left a huge gap because they're not playing a team game. That's how you know a side's not perfectly coached. I wouldn't want one of my sides to be photographed, at any time that they made a mistake. But at this moment in time, if I was Cadiz's manager, I would be pretty upset with the team shape about that one. Okay. Gil's job isn't done yet. We could see him now. He was the guy that occupied that space. Now Acuna has it. The pass by Goya lacked pace and allowed the opponent to have time to reorganize. There he is at the back, at the right. Goya is there. And because of this, Gil runs to the sideline where the ball carrier is located, luring the opposing right back with him and opening up a massive hole between the opposing right back and right center back. Is Mancini going to allow this? No. He's not. If I've watched 53 games of Roma this year, I'll tell you that he's not. But let's entertain ourselves here. Nobody from Sevilla tried to capitalize on that, and the opponent's wide midfield managed to close that passing lane and forced Acuna to go back or venture outside, but the Argentine opted to pass it to Gil instead. It's a dead ball, really, because you know that there's going to be at least one more guy in support there. So if Sevilla don't get numbers forward, they're not scoring, guys. And if they do get numbers forward, they're going to be vulnerable on that counterattack, especially without Acuna, who is an athletic beast. Okay, out of possession. Let's go over this carefully. When we come to the defending phase of their game, they alternate in their preference to recover the ball. Their go-to option is to defend in a high block in a hybrid zone of zonal and man-oriented pressing. Okay, let's see some examples of this. There we got them pressing up the pitch. They're attacking the keeper there, trying to win back possession quickly. And Nassiri forces the keeper to either kick the ball long or play into their hands with a risky short pass. And we can see here that Navas intercepts the pass and tries to create a chance by whipping it across from the byline. All right, cool. Those two pressing sequences were from the opponent's deep build-up play involving the keeper. If they're calm and technically secure, they become a bit passive and measured in their pressing to prevent inferiority and getting exploited. Okay, so don't play out of the back. That's what you're telling me, right? But if you don't play out of the back, then every goal kick becomes a 50-50. But Roma can be pretty tall. Abraham's a tall guy. Matic, he's strong. El Shaarawy is hopefully going to use his size, whatever size that he does have, his strength to not get defeated on those goal kicks, those contested balls in the air. So it's okay. It's not the end of the world here. Those two pressing sequences were from the opponent's deep build-up play involving the keeper. If they're calm and technically secure, we read that. That's okay. We'll keep going on. They split the defenders and force a pass to the sideline and then exert the right pressure to recover the ball, forcing mistake or making them go long. Yeah, that's what you do. You force someone to go long, and you better be tough in the air. And we got Chris Smalling back, so don't forget about the impact of Chris, guys. That's going to be fundamental to this final, and there's few things I want more right now than to see Smalling hold up that trophy and to see Matic and these guys who've worked so hard at this point. All right, anything crazy? I don't think anything super duper nuts over here. But let's take a look also at this this workout from the back by United. A prime example, defenders didn't want to back the press while the players higher up the pitch were going man-to-man in a passive settled block, trying to wait for the triggers before activating the high press. That created a big hole between the lines, which United capitalized on by sending long balls to their creative making Sevilla susceptible to transitions. Okay, so what this is saying here, the defenders didn't want to back the press while the players were higher up the pitch. So that made a gap. If Sevilla doesn't keep their shape here, that could be really dangerous to them for Roma's counters, when Roma does counter. If a player like Dybala gets in here, in this type of situation, and gets in between the lines, perhaps the way that Bruno does here, he's going to do well. He's going to do really well here, guys. Mendilibar acknowledges these issues in his post-presser, saying, our game plan is the same, but our opponents also have their own. United were able to get out of their half, and that pinned us back. Pin them back. That is going to be fundamental on these counters. Moving back to the Valencia game, we can see how Sevilla's 4-2-3-1 mid-block aims to force a turnover. Well, that doesn't matter to us. Roma doesn't go with a mid-block. They go with a low block, a low to mid, depending on the game situation. Okay, here we can check out Sevilla's shape, as it looks like they're trying to get out of the back. So they're settling in a simple 4-4-2. This is typical of today's managers, or a 3-5-2, it says here, but this is a 4-4-2. This is typical of today's managers, possession-based, counterattacking, whatever it might be. It's what you'll see across the board at this point in time with modern tactics. Here you got a little bit of a different situation going on. Speaking of more like a 5-3-2, but it's really a 5-3-1-1, or at least this way, with the way that look at the center forwards, Sevilla's center forwards in red there at the left of your screen. What they're trying to do is just make sure that they don't get caught out on the opposite end, while this first forward here closest to you is trying to force them to play to their side and out of bounds. What they don't want, Sevilla here, is to be any type of pass in between that middle to defensive third, where my mouse is right here. They don't want anything like that. So they're going to try to force it out wide. All right. I think that might sum up this tactical analysis here. There's nothing groundbreaking that I saw. I think that's the key will be here is to get Sevilla out of their element, to get them stretched out a little bit on the counter, to press them. Just looking at these charts really quick. Let's look at this. High turnovers, 27. This is just a United Sevilla game. All right. So let's get out of here for a second. Let's go to comments and see what's going on with everybody. I've been in like a little wormhole here. Okay. Yeah. Acuna's not going to play in the final. There's a manager you can trust. It is Mourinho. Yeah. Done. Give a like to that. Appreciate that, guys. Subscribe as well if you're not. Demir is Slovenian. I didn't know that. 2:43 a.m. Oh, he works nights. Okay. I think you should do live streams to European time. I bet you'd have more. Yeah. The thing is, I gotta work with my schedule with the baby and my work schedule too. So this is when I was able to get it in just now. Imagine the first year Mourinho won the Conference League, second Europa League, third year Champions League. I mean, that would be super cool. But to cap this off, guys, I'm gonna keep, I think, summing up, and as we go on, I'm gonna be doing media every single day leading up to the Europa League final and the day after. We'll see what life looks like at that point in time. I just want to say before we sign off that Fiorentina is the game tomorrow, and Roma will have one eye on the final. Don't get too upset if it's not the end of the world if Roma lose tomorrow or they get a draw. Fiorentina have been pretty decent at home, and this is it. This is the biggest game probably of my life as a Roma fan. Back three: Mancini, Ibanez, Smalling. Biggest game. Maybe the Champions League semifinal against Liverpool was a little bit bigger, but this means everything. Champions League or not next year. If Roma win, they get into the Champions League. If not, they're not getting in. I mean, Spezia is on the last match day of the season, but it's pretty defined at this point. Who should be our back three? Smalling, Ibanez, Mancini. Don't forget that Sevilla aren't good at set pieces in terms of defending, Karim. That one I didn't know. That's a great point that Karim brings up here. Set pieces. So Roma is statistically very good on them. Could the Europa League final be decided by a corner, by an in-swinging set piece? Perhaps. Guys, thank you so much. Let's talk tomorrow. After the Fiorentina game, set your subscriptions, your alerts, whatever it takes. I appreciate you jumping on late on a Friday night, and those of you who stayed up with me, and those who stayed home for the club and from the club and instead chose to watch this tactical analysis. No, I'm just messing. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.